what's up you guys, this is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on The Rundown we're getting schooled when we put on our lenses and get ready to focus. So for those of you who haven't completed the second dream quest and don't want any spoilers whatsoever, I would suggest that you turn this shit off right now. However, for those of you who don't mind a bit of a tease, I will be actively avoiding all plot points in the story and just giving you the information that you need so that you know what you're getting into when you decide to commit to a specific focus. So spoiler freaks, turn away now because this shit's about to get real. Get completely unexplained in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So once you've completed the quest, you'll have access to the new focus system, which is currently in beta form. Just be aware of that as things I cover may and probably will change. So if you're a few weeks late to this video, be sure to check the description box to see if this has been annotated. Okay, so let's go over the basics. After the quest completes, you're asked to choose from one of the schools of the 5 Great Tenno Principles. Now, if you haven't chosen already, ignore their in-game descriptions completely because a lot of that shit is misleading. We'll get more in-depth into the schools after we've covered starting out, but here's what you should know. Unairu is focused on outlasting your enemies, increasing your armor, reducing enemy armor, and causing petrification. Madurai is focused solely on offense, whether it's setting your enemies ablaze or granting you bonuses to physical damage. Naramon focuses on subterfuge, confusing enemies, giving you bonuses to critical melee damage, and granting you stealth. Zenurik is focused on domination, helplessly suspending enemies, periodically restoring energy, and heightening your power efficiency. Lastly, Vazarin focuses on restoration and protection, healing surrounding allies, providing instant revives, and granting wards of protection. After you've taken your pick, you're given a lens which you can equip onto a max rank weapon or Warframe by clicking the actions button in the upgrade menu. Now, speaking from personal experience, in general you do not want to equip this on a weapon like I initially did. It simply doesn't earn nearly as much focus as putting it onto a frame, more specifically a frame that can rack in the kill count using their powers. Think Ember using Accelerant and World on Fire, or Nova using Molecular Prime and Antimatter dropped for the kill. Now, I have heard that if you're more of a soloist, you can equip a lens on a melee weapon using Loki's invisibility to rack you up a shit ton of experience using the 500% stealth kill affinity multiplier. However, I haven't done this myself, so invest in that lens at your own risk. Now, if the market is friendly or the sorties happen to pay out with the exact right lenses, you can actually craft a greater lens which will end up granting you a larger amount of focus for the amount of affinity you gain. Just keep in mind that at this point in time we are currently capped at 75,000 points of focus that we can gain per day, much like Syndicate Reputation. So crafting a greater lens will only speed up the amount of time it takes you to get to the cap. Now also keep in mind that putting a Forma on a weapon or Warframe that currently has a lens equipped will cause it to stop gaining focus until it has once again reached max rank. Now let's take a look at each individual school in depth. Keep in mind that their descriptions do not provide exact statistical information on their bonuses yet, so keep an eye out for annotations as the information creeps in. Additionally, I'll have links in the description that will take you directly to each school's focus tree so you can plan out your own progression. Now, some quick basics before we begin. Each school has a unique activated ability that slowly charges up during your mission. Once activated, your operator enters the battlefield unleashing their signature skill, leaving your Warframe collapsed on the ground and invulnerable. Once the duration expires, your consciousness returns to your Warframe and your skill tree's passive abilities trigger. Note that once unlocked, you will have to click on each bonus on the skill tree in order to activate it, with each additional branch increasing the timer on your active ability. Each of these bonuses and their subsequent ranks will also take up one part in your total focus pool for this principle. This pool can be increased by upgrading it with focus, but just note that as the ranks increase, so does the focus cost. So, starting with Unairu, their activated ability Basilisk Flare sends out a beam that petrifies enemies, with its upgrades providing bonuses such as dealing extra damage over time, causing an eruption once the ability expires, and reducing enemy armor for a limited amount of time. Now, passively, Stone Shape will grant you bonus armor and splinters into Medusa Touch as well as Mighty Blows. Medusa Touch grants you a chance to petrify enemies when struck with your melee weapons, while Mighty Blows reduce enemy armor with every melee strike. All I'm gonna say is, picture this with a fully extended Wukong staff, jumping in head first, petrifying and reducing an entire squad's armor with a few waves of his rod. While it's not my personal favorite, this definitely has potential. Moving on, Madurai's activated ability, Phoenix Flare, sends out a high damage beam of energy, dealing damage to enemies in its path. Its upgrades include splitting its beam into 3, creating trails of fire that burn enemies who cross it, and creating explosions that inflict damage to nearby enemies. Passively, Blazing Fury increases slash damage and branches into Searing Wrath and Burning Rage. Searing Wrath increases puncture damage while Burning Rage increases impact damage. Now note, these do not say that they are limited to melee damage like many of the other trees do, which means that they most likely will grant the effect to every type of weapon you have equipped. So if you're more apt with rifles and shotguns, this may just be your cup of tea. Now if some lovely person out there would be so kind as to playtest this with Ash's Bladestorm, I'd definitely be interested in the results. Naramon is next on the list with their activated ability Mind Spike, emitting pulses that confuse enemies in the area of effect. Some of its more notable upgrades range from providing allies with stealth, opening enemies up to melee finishers, or a chance to disarm enemies. Passively, Strategic Execution grants you increased affinity from killing enemies with melee, and branches into Deadly Intent and Shadow Step. Deadly Intent increases your critical chance with melee weapons, while Shadow Step grants you a short duration invisibility every time you deal critical damage with melee. This is just such a beautiful synergy. Melee crits put you into stealth, the invisibility allows you to safely engage in melee, which results in more crits, which refreshes your invisibility, allowing you to continue the onslaught. Not to mention the melee 4x stealth multiplier from enemies that don't see you coming. Up next is Zenurik, whose activated ability Void Pulse releases shockwaves that suspend enemies mid-air, preventing them from moving or attacking. Now, some of its upgrades include leaving behind a field that restores energy to all allies caught in it, inflicting a bullet attractor-like aura, and dealing damage to surrounding enemies. Passively, Energy Overflow replenishes energy every second, and branches into Systemic Override and Energy Spike. Systemic Override increases the efficiency of Warframe abilities, while Energy Spike causes energy orbs to restore energy to nearby allies. So, you know how I utterly despise quick thinking? Well, the restoration and efficiency from those passives may just finally make it a thing. Previously, people have had to rely on slow-rolling pulses from energy pads in order to make up for the shitty habits they've developed due to the use of quick thinking. However, thanks to some footage DK had captured for me, I can definitely attest that at this moment, the energy restoration on this is quite strong, even at first rank. Our final school is Vazarin, whose activated ability Mending Tides pulses waves that restore health to surrounding allies. Its upgrades range from creating a shell of protective energy to restoring shields, as well as an aura that stuns enemies that enter it. Passively, New Moon grants the user the ability to instantly revive fallen allies several times during the mission, and branches into Retaliation as well as Disciplined Approach. Retaliation reflects a small amount of damage taken back to its damage source, while Disciplined Approach increases the range at which affinity is shared between players. Now, clearly, this is a team-focused skill tree, which is awesome if you're constantly in group situations, but not necessarily the best choice for players going solo. Now, for those of you who have already chosen your school and wish to swap, there is hope. All you need to do is acquire a lens from your desired principal and start earning focus with that weapon or warframe. Once you've earned 50k, you'll be able to unlock that school, which will give you instant access to the activated ability. Now, when swapping in your main focus menu, don't forget to hit the Make Primary button in order to swap your power settings. Also keep in mind that regardless of what school abilities you have equipped, the only thing that determines what kind of focus points you're earning is the type of lenses you have equipped. So if I chose to start gaining focus for Zenurik, I can still have my Naramon skill tree equipped. Now that about wraps up the basics. As I had stated before, be sure to check the links in the description box as they will have images of each individual focus tree for you to do some further investigation. Now this is a bit of a general video to give players a little guidance, so feel free to leave any number crunching you've personally done in the comments below. That aside, you can definitely expect more in-depth coverage as I manage to grind my way through school. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Rundown. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to watch my episode on Ivara, as well as my fanboying over almost all of the weapons and cosmetics released in Update 18. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned for more of my dirty teenage flashbacks, here at A Gay Guy Plays. Listen, I just want to be a little tan, not sunburnt, not slightly gray, not like I've been running through a goddamn burning building, and what the hell is this? Why is this an option? You gave us purple, but you couldn't give me a good tan? What the hell is wrong with you?